I'm pretty loud. I know how to project, so are you hearing me? Nice. As stated, I'm Malia Fox. I'm the mother of Josh, who's forever 44 and gorgeous. Josh was dads with Skylar, 25, Abby, 21, and Alistair, 15. Hey, it's all written down. My daughter said, you get off tangent. So you're lucky I'm staying on tangent. His kids are continuing to get older. Life moves on. Their dad stays 44 and misses so many milestones in his kids' lives. Alistair went to homecoming last weekend. He sported long red hair, and I'm not joking, long red hair, and pink John Lennon glasses matching his pink tie and shoelaces on his otherwise black attire. Josh is proud, heavenly proud, not earthly. Well, that's a blessing, I guess, because the world was not nice to Josh. Josh had various circumstances in his life. He was raised by a single mom, that would be me. He was the oldest of 5 and protector to all. His youngest sibling dearly holds on to his messages of love on her birthday and when she opened her store. The pep talks via text from her big brother. His siblings, Kate and Nat, are relegated to attend birthday parties and bring tokens, gifts in his absence, and send balloons and lanterns into the heavens. His brother Eli, some of you met Eli. Eli loves you. His brother Eli takes Josh's ashes wherever he travels and spreads a bit of him as he sees fit. Every governmental agent, close your ears, outside the Capitol lawn has been his favorite. I knew from a very early age that Josh had an amazing mind. His semantic memory was evident, but eventually it became episodic and photographic. Let's just say Josh didn't forget. This was also a curse. A curse because he held a lot of his memory in and wouldn't share. When you don't share the trauma, when you protect others and stuff the truth, this is when the pain deepens. The bad things get buried and the festering process begins. Deep down inside where others can't realize the damage that's being done. Josh had a brilliant mind and flourished in school. Josh was our Google. He literally knew something about everything. He was a leader, well-liked, many friends, helpful, smart in all subjects. By junior high, we were seeing that his studies weren't challenging him. He was getting bored. It was also at this time that he was interested in meeting and seeing his father. He was in his sophomore year of high school, a parochial school. We were planning for him to go visit his dad, and he was talking with him on the phone. 2 weeks before he was scheduled to visit over spring break, his dad died on a job site in South Carolina from a brain aneurysm. We received a call from Josh's Aunt Sarah telling my son his father was dead, was right next to telling my grandson his father had died. School from that day forward was torture. Josh couldn't focus. He started having panic attacks. Anxiety consumed him. The school insisted he be placed on something for his behaviors. His doctor put him on Ritalin. Josh hated the way it made him feel and decided a better way to use it would be to break open the capsules and snort the drug. His junior year, Josh had enough of school and the doors that were closing to him. The principal of the prep school had a sincere dislike of Josh, almost a fear of him, telling me in one principal office visit that my son was the closest thing to Charles Manson he felt he would ever encounter. System 1 failed. Josh left school and I tried pulling my mom's weight by telling him he'd have to get a job, take his GED, become something. He left and found others to house him for pieces of time. Look at him, all the girls had him. At one point, he went to Georgia to meet his aunt, uncle, and cousins from his dad's side. When he came back, he went to his first of about 4 treatment centers. Stayed about 10 days, was booted out for anger issues, and sent out in a snowstorm, Winona, Minnesota, to find his way home. System 2 failed. He stayed with my sister and her husband in Nebraska and learned the construction trade. He came back to Winona and got his GED. By 19, he was a father, and another door was shut to him as the grandparents of his child wouldn't allow him anywhere near their daughter or his son. He eventually left town with an older woman that he met and started his adult years in Colorado. He built homes and loved the state. He and Naomi married, and they had a daughter, Abby. Abby will eventually find her father dead. Josh's lack of mental health support led to another breakup, and they came back from Colorado and divorced. The conditions of custody were joint, but Naomi moved up to Minneapolis, and getting access to Abby was nearly impossible for Josh. System 3 failed. Josh lived in Winona, and at times with his twin brothers. They're 6 years younger and had bought a home. I'm certain that home was the scene of many a party. They all worked, were single, and had a great time in their 20s. It's during this time that Josh is called upon by a mom, the twins' best friend, to help her find her son. She'd been to his house, she kept calling. Neither Ian nor Amanda were answering. Josh and Eli left to go find Ian. They went to the house, he didn't answer. Josh walked around the side and peered through the window. He could see Ian lying on the bed. He thought he'd passed out or possibly OD'd. He took the air conditioner out of the window and climbed in the house. What he found was horrifying. He screamed at Eli not to come in and told him to call the police. Amanda's on the toilet, dead from a gunshot wound, and Ian's on the bed, also deceased of a gunshot. This was murder-suicide. All Josh could think is to keep his brother from seeing the scene of his best friend. It wasn't long after this that Josh was using meth, and within a couple of years, I was trying to find him treatment. As an adult this time, and the system was more complicated and not helpful. The length of programs weren't long, no follow-up occurred. Over the past 12 years, his diagnoses became bipolar, anxiety, panic attacks, schizoid affect disorder. Anytime he needed medical attention, his past drug use was a determining factor for what they would prescribe. Nothing. He felt useless, invisible, a nuisance, not valid, defeated. He was escorted out of the hospital for questioning techniques. Remember the brilliant mind? He always knew more than the medical professionals. I think he did. He questioned the use of this drug with that drug, the side effects. He could recite the side effects or a doctor's credentials. He was denied services because of anxiety. He switched from our local medical organization to going to Rochester, where he found a medical professional that would treat him humanely. He gave up on counseling many years ago, as he couldn't see the point of discussing the past. He only wanted to feel good in the present. Another system failed. Josh found a job in sales at a local furniture store. This was natural for him. His salesmanship was off the charts. He took the store to $1 million in sales in 1 year. He had such an effect that he was told to stop selling a certain product, one he truly believed in, because the competitors of that product were complaining that their sales were down. When he found something he was good at, even the competition shut him down. I had many people ask me if he was my son and tell me the furniture they bought from him. I had an 85-year-old woman ask me one day if he was related to me. When I replied that he was my son, she gasped and said, I bought a bed from him. He laid on that bed with me and I was sold. When I got home that evening, I berated him in his technique. And he grinned and said, Mom, it did sales and it worked. Always charismatic. Josh lived the past 12 years of his life on his own. His kids visited or stayed with him often, anywhere from daily to weekly. He was invested in their lives, from school concerts to parent-teacher conferences to football, and eventually graduating 2 of them. Fishing was a favorite for all 3. Alistair's dream of his dad since death was Josh outside the living room window. Alistair's asleep on the couch. Josh is knocking on the window and telling help to get outside and dig for worms. Josh was in my life 24/7. Text messages throughout the day. I considered myself his conscience because he texted, and the text went on and on and on, just like his mind. I haven't read one of those since he died. Josh tried for the past 7 years of his life to get on Social Security. Or the system failed. He could push a broom, he said. I had no idea the people that Josh had helped. His entire neighborhood came to his celebration of life, telling me the soups that he made for them, the veggies he grew in the summer, the walks he shoveled, and his relentless neighborhood watch. Substance users came out of the woodwork to cry and say he was always there for them, holding them up and giving them pep talks. Josh knew the downtrodden, and he didn't want anyone else to feel the pains he felt. He made impacts on many a person's life. 2 weeks before Josh died, I was on a trip over to his house to run some errands. Josh said, Mom, people are dying of fentanyl, and no one is talking about it. I was confused with the statement. Remember my Google guy, now he's off on China, and all they're doing to our country. I just tuned him out. I knew fentanyl as the patches my dying mother had on hospice. What is he thinking now? On August 2nd, 2022 at 9:30 p.m., I was in bed on the last days of a round of COVID. The phone is ringing and my oldest grandson is asking me, Grandma, what is Abby talking about? Is it true? I'm confused and annoyed, and I tell him I'm sick in bed. He apologizes and says, Grandma, she's saying Dad is dead. I don't remember the ride to town 13 miles away. He was gone on his kitchen floor with no one around. My Google guy, my MacGyver, with sincere anxiety, who had great fears of dying alone. No more 24/7 talk texts. No more giggles over silly things I couldn't do the way he did, like cook. No more, I love you, Mama. Please don't die before me, because I don't know what I'd do without you. Josh is gone. 7 weeks later, and the telephone returned, his case is closed. Lack of evidence. Although someone was claiming to have hotshotted Josh, and it was recorded on a jail phone. Another system fail. I know Josh was poisoned by fentanyl. His death certificate reads accidental death by methamphetamine and fentanyl. His toxicology report shows 39 mg fentanyl. Josh had entered a MAT at Olmsted County. He had Suboxone and naloxone in his pocket. I found fent test strips in his bedroom. I did not know that Josh had relapsed to his drug of choice from 12 years ago. I knew COVID was a stressor on him. He thought it comical. The rest of you will find out what my life is like all the time. The inability to make connections with other humans. Again, a system failed. Since maybe people feel my son was a failure, an addict, a loser, a deadbeat, a junkie, I see, until you know, you don't know. I say a series of systems we trusted and thought had answers would help, had compassion and care. Those systems failed him and countless others. They threw him away and ignored his endless cries for help. The last brilliant thing Josh said to me was, "Mom, people are dying of fentanyl and no one is talking about it." So Josh, for all the times I failed you, believe me, I failed him. I will go to my dying day educating and bringing awareness to fentanyl and mental health and drug use and the traumas that we all have. And we need to have connection to others to become healthy with our God. I'm finding my way and following your heart and compassion for those hurting. Since his death, I knew my pain had to move into an action or I would be bedridden. I founded 2 recovery organizations in Winona. I work with a grassroots organization managing the drug epidemic memorial for grieving families. We're working towards memorializing our heroes, the real warriors of the drug epidemic, with memorial walls in each state capital. I work towards educating my community on the dangers and towards healing the hurts, and we'll be working with Winona County ASAP, the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. Thank you all for hearing about my lovely boy.